Hey everybody, Nerdity Absurdity here, coming at you with another action figure to review. This time we have Marvel Legends retro carded Rhino. He is a big beefy boy, and we're going to take a look at him. First, let's take a look at this packaging, and this packaging is really nice. It's the retro carded packaging. I can see why you mint on card people like having this packaging with your action figures. It's really swell. You got, you got some Rhino imagery right there. And then, of course, Spider-Man logo. Then around the back, you can see what you're getting. I mean, you're not seeing Rhino on the back, but I mean, I guess he's technically added to this wave now. Anyways, that's what it looks like. It's a big hunk of plastic packaging. It looks really nice, really kind of imposing, just like the Rhino himself. Now, Rhino comes with a couple accessories. He comes with two types of fists, so I'll just show these on camera. He's got these swappable, interchangeable fists. He's got the big old punching fist, like so. And he's got the grabbing fist. And the grabbing fist is nice because, look, you see that, you can see kind of the detail there in the fingertips and everything like that. You can see the nails and how they've taken time to paint that. And it's really nice just to have options. Maybe he's coming at Spider-Man. Maybe he's lunging at Spider-Man, trying to grab him, trying to unmask him or something like that. Or maybe he just wants to punch Spider-Man in the face because he has called him, I don't know, Concrete Boy or something too many times. You gotta watch that, Spider-Man. It's the Rhino we're dealing with. Rhino also comes with an alternate head sculpt here. These head sculpts are really nice. You can see just kind of in this overview the kind of detail you got going on. You have all of this texturing effects, ripples. You got the lines around the mask and around where the horn is sticking out. Some people don't like these eyes in the side of the costume, but it is retro. I kind of like it. Rhino's a goofy guy in a Rhino costume anyway, so why not go whole hog or whole Rhino, I guess. This is just kind of your neutral head, standard, looking at just kind of looking, kind of grimacing, but I like all the line work and stuff. You even get some like wrinkling around the eyes, the cheekbones, different tone, different color on the lips. That's really nice. Yeah, but I mean, for accessories, you can't really beat this snarling head. Look at that. Isn't that just Flint Marco? Isn't that just what you think of when you think of Rhino? That is fantastic. I love this head. And of course, because he's snarling, you get all these other wrinkling effects, like in the side of the jaw and things like that. And you can see, I think you can even see, yeah, there's a little bit of a line where his nose, you know, where you wrinkle your nose when you're snarling, you even got that going on, and the teeth look lovely. They're very white. So Rhino has nice dental care. I don't mind that. That makes it pop. But yeah, as we're talking about just how good the sculpt is on the face and the accessories, let's look at the sculpt on the rest of the body, because it is something. You've got all of this texture work going on. You've got, you've got the details in the muscles. You can see them rippling. You can see the clavicle there, big shoulder muscles, all these warts and things all over. And it's all very different. There's a whole bunch of different texturing effects. You got these big, exaggerated muscle sculpts going in. And of course, we got the feet there. Don't they look lovely? The toenails and everything like that. Oh my goodness. Just there's so much to look at on this figure. There's so many little details to observe. And we got the back there. Got the Rhino butt. And we got... Here's the thing with the figure, talking about the sculpt. There are some obvious joints. These are very obvious here in the back. I kind of like how they make these exaggerated calf muscles around it to maybe kind of mask it or whatever. But then you have this little, that looks very much. It's very obvious, is the point. And then you have other little things, like you have the holes in the side of the legs. I don't know why that couldn't have been covered up, because you can see the screw in there. That's really deep in there. So I feel like a little piece of plastic or something could have gone over to the top of there. I don't really mind the peg hole in the side of the leg there. Actually, the inner work of the leg is cool too. You got this, I don't know what that's called, but that running down like a sinew or something like that. Of course, marbling all over. One thing they did do is they tried to put texturing on some of these joints to make it disguise a little more, like you can see there. There's a little bit of texturing going on, and things like in the balls of the legs, you can see that going on as well. There's some texturing just to just to kind of disguise some of the more toyish natures. A Rhino is big and armored too, so even though you have some gappage, some, like, you can see that joint is kind of, that's kind of obviously sticking out of the shoulder. It is a big figure, so you grade on a curve, but because he's kind of an armored figure, you got like plates over plates, it doesn't matter. One choice they made that's really nice was this upper thigh cut. We'll talk about articulation in a bit, but this upper thigh cut, I didn't even really notice it at first. I thought maybe this is one piece, but this upper thigh cut, because it's like this armor plated stuff and it's textured very well, and the paint kind of just matches what's underneath. I didn't even really notice it at first. It looks like just kind of, that's part of the sculpt where it's like bulking out. Maybe not so much if you spin it all around, but front facing, you don't really notice so much that upper thigh cut. So that's really nice design work there. So let's talk a bit about articulation. He's a big figure, so don't expect too much, but what we do have is pretty good. So my boy Rhino here, he will... Oh, he actually is looking up all the way he's looking up. He'll look down. He'll look all the way up. And from the front, down, charging at you. And then up, where's Spider-Man? And then he can look forward a little bit too. He doesn't have attitude. There's no tilt going on here. But basically, the head and neck are together on a ball. So he can look left. He can look right. And the nice thing about that is he can look down left, and he can also look down right, and also up left, up right. Spider-Man is swinging over my head. What's that about? So you're getting a fair bit there. Shoulders on a ball. Nothing in standard pose will go up more than that. That's what, like more than 45 degrees, but he's not lifting his arms really above his head. You have to do the old ball trick. You have to cheat it, where you find that line, you twist it up, and then, now he can get his arms over his head. So that's going on there. I'll say these balls feel very sturdy, these ball joints in the shoulder. The figure itself feels very sturdy. You would expect that of a big figure, but some of the McFarlane toys, like the Steppenwolf figure, which I like, and the animated Cyborg, they've got ball appendages kind of like this, and they pop out really easy. That's not a problem with this guy so far. You got that you got that bicep swivel, and he'll do the 360 on that. Single jointed elbow, but what did you expect? But you do get a lot of, it does go nice. It does go about 90, so that's nice. So this wrist has more articulation than the fist, because the fist is just kind of a punching. It'll peg up, peg down, and go all around. It's more articulated, and you can see on this other wrist over here. It'll peg down a little bit. You get a little bit, not too much, and then peg up. Actually, that's a fair bit of range. And then, of course, it'll swivel around. But decent on the arms there. But what you'd expect for a big fig. The ab crunch, you're not getting a heck of a lot. Let me just put this arm down, just so you can see this a little bit better. So in terms of the ab crunch, I love looking at all these details, all the warts on the sides. I know we're talking about articulation, but dang, nice looking figure. Anyway, ab crunch, only about so much, back so much, and that's the neutral position. But the nice thing is with the head, you can get him kind of looking down a lot, really intimidating. Just a little bit of an ab crunch, but it's okay. It's decent. Then we get a waist cut, and he will do a 360 on the waist cut. And the joints aren't too stiff. They're solid, but they're not too stiff, so that's nice. He does the splits about so much. That's what he's got going on in the crotch over there. Then, of course, we talked about the ball and the upper thigh cut over here. Single joints on the knee, but again, big figure. One thing weird about the knee, so here's the knee when it's folded. Looks good. Looks like a regular knee, Rhino-like knee. But then you do that, and what's going on here? It like caves in on itself. Rhino, you gotta go to a knee surgeon, my boy. And they tried to disguise it by putting the texture in there on the joint like that, but then this is all smooth. So what are you doing? This is just a really weird design. I know it's a big figure, and like getting these big limbs to articulate. That can be difficult, but man, that just looks really weird. I gotta say, I appreciate the fact that because of this, you can pose him up. I had him stomping on Spider-Man at one point, and that was very fun and satisfying because I had issues with that Spider-Man figure. Here I have the Rhino. He's totally dominating. Amazing Fantasy, number 15, first appearance Spider-Man. Perfect example of a cool toy just kicking the crap out of kind of a very crappy, disappointing toy. But yeah, that's just a really weird design. And again, it's weird in the back, as we talked about as well. Like, some of these joints just look very... And then you can even see that, like, under the arms here, you know, very, very noticeable because the joint is so small, and I feel like they try to hide it by, like, bulking up the musculature around here, like in the forearm, and then you can see in the back of the calf there. They're trying to beef up that musculature to hide this, but it kind of makes it look worse in a way because this is so sunken in, but nowhere is that more noticeable on the knee. So that's the knee doesn't go back super far. You're getting at like 45 degrees, not getting at a 90 or anything. Again, because you got this big, bulky upper thigh going on here. You know, the sculpt, it looks like, took priority, but they didn't. I wouldn't say they skimped on the articulation. He still articulates pretty well for a figure this size, but yeah, no, there definitely is some wonkiness. And then the foot, he's got toe pivot. He can toe pivot pretty well. Rhino could have been a ballerina to stop robbing all them banks. And yeah, he's got lovely ankle pivot. You can break his ankle there. That's very nice. Right around the side. He's just, no, Spider-Man broke my foot. Look at that. Look at that. That's great. That is a great amount of articulation, especially for a bigger figure. So that's our boy Rhino. Oh, I didn't talk about the paint, probably because there's not much to talk about, so I'll talk about that quickly. You can see what they've done is he's basically one color gray, and they've put blobs of this dark gray here and here and here to highlight. They kind of did that for the Beast figure. That figure, the gray Beast figure, it reminds me of. I think they did that for the blue Beast too. And like on the back of the hands and things, they got blobs of this. That maybe worked better with that figure because it's smaller. On this big figure, it just looks like blobs. They did the same thing for the Hulk, where they just put these like lighter green highlights there. Yeah, no, it's kind of weird. For some reason, the dark parts are the raised areas, as opposed to like the raised areas are in shadow. It's a very weird choice, and you get that on the back too. I don't know if it's supposed to look more just these areas are being, I don't know, hit more or something like that, so they get harder, they get more rough, they get more armory. I don't know if that's the idea, but yeah, I mean, Marvel Legends, they don't have the best paint work. I dig little details like giving you a little bit of something on the lips, or maybe that's more the other figure had something on the lips and things like that. But the thing that's saving this thing is the sculpt. The sculpt looks great, and that really makes the figure. You know, he's a big beefy boy. He articulates well for a figure this size. He looks really nice and big and imposing, and you know, he does come with those extra few accessories, which are nice. It's nice to have options for hands. It's nice to have options for heads. I think I'm just going to keep this head mostly, because who doesn't want a snarling Rhino? But yeah, that's Marvel Legends Rhino, and I really like him. I really dig him. I think he's a good figure. I think he's honestly an easy buy. So big thumbs up for me. Marvel Legends Retro Carded Rhino. Yeah, if you're at all into Spider-Man, or if you're like me and you just like big chonks, if you just like have big, imposing, menacing villains and you like to have them taking on your heroes, then go pick him up. And of course, if you're a Spider-Man fan, it's pretty easy. He's pretty big for the 6 scale line. Like, he looks almost too big for the line, but because the line is kind of retro, it's cartoony, I don't really mind so much. It's yeah, I don't really, it doesn't really bother me. He can be a little exaggerated, and this figure is exaggerated. This is nice, you know. Obviously there isn't reuse going on here. This is a nice sculpt. A lot of effort was put into it. The sculpt really is the thing that makes it. He looks good. He looks really good, and you can get him into a bunch of cool poses. So yeah, Retro Rhino, easy buy for me. Really happy with it. Try to get him at a good price if you can. I was lucky. He's only $50 Canadian for me. So I lucked out there, found him pretty good prices at a convention. But even still, even at a higher price point, I think he's probably, I'd probably pick him up just because he's a really nice figure. Okay, well, that's all for me. Thanks, everybody. Be kind, and I'll see you next time. Single jointed. Whoop! Rhino's so big he's knocking over the camera.